Hello, my brothers and sisters, and welcome again in the Belgian forests. My name is Tim Heijen, and I am a dragon witch. And I came to live here many years ago so that I can be closer to nature, because I very much am convinced that dragons are very close to nature. They are in fact elemental beings, elemental spirits, you can say, but not spirits of the deceased, spirits of the other sides, spirits that are very close to us and can awaken us. Spirits that are so close to us that it's even inside of ourselves. We carry a lot of energy, so much energy, that whenever I came to live here, to be close to nature and be close to the forest, I don't see trees as trees. I see them as much more like the scales and the hairs of Tiamat, the dragon goddess. It's much more like this. Humans don't see any value in it, but it gives life. It's beautiful. Trees are very close to me. But whenever I came to live here, it was to go much deeper inside of dragon witchcraft, and I wanted to solve all of my questions here in the forest. This forest is gigantic, by the way. It goes all the way to France and all the way beyond that. So it's easy to get lost in, and of course, eventually that happened. Today I went to in a stroll in the forest together alongside with my sister, and that reminded me of something that, of course, happened. Something happened at that moment when I came to walk with my sister here to the forest. Of course, a little bit of a backstory, just a short backstory. Whenever I came to live here, of course, I loved the forest, but I was too deep inside of the forests. I wanted to explore everything, but of course, hélas, I was getting lost from a moment, and I didn't had my smartphone like I have now. I just had this little small phone. It was foggy. It was full moon. There was ice everywhere because it was minus 10 to 15 degrees, and there was ice everywhere. I slipped on the ice. I injured my leg. It was horrible. It was painful, and I thought that I was not going to make it because for hours and hours, and I was freezing cold. Oh my goodness! But of course, yeah, I was always also my battery was almost dead from my phone, and the light on my phone didn't help anything because the fog was thick, and I thought I wasn't going to make it. And that is, of course, is this the reason why I came to live here in the forest, that I was going to die? But no, not at all, because I didn't expect what will happen in the night during the forest, because I never been in the forest during the night. But of course, everything comes alive. So everywhere there are animals everywhere, looking at me, but not following me or moving that much, but looking statically at me. So the moon actually reflected inside of their eyes. I could see this, but they didn't really move that much. And of course, I was hurt. I was hurt so much. But one of these eyes was not like the rest, and it seemed much more that it reflected red. All of these other eyes were like white, but these eyes were red, and they were not small like the other ones, but it was much more higher. And I was looking at these eyes, and that I could swear, if you ever know the legend of the Wendigo, that is something that I remember. Once I saw this being, I thought at first it was like a deer because it had horns, but it seemed like much more like something else. But something from that moment until that moment that I arrived in the village in the middle of the forest, there was a gap. I don't know what happened in the middle. There is something that you need to crawl out. That you have to climb a mountain before you can reach that village. I don't remember that. I don't remember anything from it. So my father actually, I called my father, Suni, that little village, and he was there immediately, and he said whenever he drove there to this village, he saw all of these animals looking statically at him as he passes by. And this was the most incredible thing he ever saw. All of these animals, foxes, deer, and wild boar, were all looking at him statically. That is, of course, what I saw as well as we drove back to our home. And something that he said years later, that he never mentioned because he's an atheist. He doesn't believe in all of these spiritual things. But later on, years later, he said, whenever we arrived home, you didn't see it because you were too much injured. And of course, I was happy that I was still alive. I was home. I was hurt. I was tired. but I didn't see it. He saw it, that the fog that was so thick, there was not a gust of air anywhere, but it was so thick, and from suddenly the air, I mean, the fog was gone. There was nothing anymore from the fog. And the thing is, now that I now that you know actually a bit more about this, it seemed much more, before I came there, I didn't feel this welcome inside of the forest. But later on, once this happened, once I go into the forest, it felt like I was welcome. It felt actually good to go inside of the forest. And later on, I came back to that place where I lost my way. And the thing is, I saw this great tree, this amazing tree. Normally, they don't let trees go old here because they cut it off. But these trees over there, they were old, hundreds of years old. And one of these trees seemed much more, if you know the movie Sleepy Hollow, it's much more like that tree, but not a dead tree, a living tree, a living oak tree that it was. And I wasn't even looking at this at first, but it was a gust of wind that made me look, oh my God, this tree is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And that was the place where I saw this being with red eyes. Much more looking like deer-like animal, or yeah. But the thing is, I carry so much energy with me. I was just, not that long awakened, and I carry all of this energy. I wanted to explore this energy, that the powers that I actually have, that we have, my brothers and sisters, as being a dragon witch. What we can do is amazing. And of course, all of these years that I've been here, it was actually a very good lessons that I had here in the forest. But in the beginning, it seemed like the forest didn't want that, because the forest in itself also has a lot of gates and a lot of spirits and a lot of other sides. And of course, I carry this as well. And it seemed like the forest was not that pleased actually once I entered it. But once I was injured and I wanted to get out of it, it seemed like the forest actually saved my life. And I cannot explain it otherwise. And once I was walking with my sister today, we were actually passing by this tree. And I said, oh, that is the tree that I saw once I lost my way. And she, of course, she's also a witch. We are actually a witch's siblings, but we are not from the same branch. She has still a lot to explore. She has much more to explore than I did. She comes from actually very dark moments. Of me too as well. From the darkness, you see your light better. I saw my light immediately. It was that of the dragon. And out of the darkness, you can better see light. She as well, she went dark. She, in fact, she's not that long out of the darkness. She's also a vegan like myself. A vegan is, very much witchy. But yeah, she touched this tree out of my recommendation. But once she touched the tree, I didn't feel that good. It felt like she shouldn't have done that. And she said there was like some kind of a lightning bolt through her mind, through her brains, like hurt. Her head was just, like electricity going through her head, and her head immediately hurt. And it felt like she shouldn't have done that. Like when I go with this tree, and when I pass it by, I always have to touch it, but I don't feel bad for it. And every time when I call me insane, but every time when I pass this tree by, every time it seems like there is different sculpture inside of it. Like this tree has much more power than I actually could even imagine. But in fact, it's the entire forest, so it seems. The entire forest has a heart, and this heart needed to accept me. And of course, I know where this heart is. It's where this tree is. They don't even the place. There are no old trees here, but over there are still old trees. They left it there. And here I can explore much more of my draconic Wiccan being. Here I answered a lot of questions here to the forest. And if I have a recommendation for you, my brothers and sisters, seek out for nature, because dragons are very close and connected to nature. Nature is everything. Dragons are elemental beings, and of course, which are you as well. So you are very much you are charged with energy if you find your element, if you find the element that is your dragons of or your own draconic spirit. You know, if you find your element is giving you the energy, and that is, I found my element. It's clearly the earth. Of course, I love the rivers in it, I love the wind that is going through it, I love all of the elements, but it's nature. You know, I see the forest as the scales of Tiamat, or the hairs of Tiamat. Of course, I lost my way here, and I'm glad actually that I did, because it was such an experience for a witch to have. Of course, I don't think that I would ever saw this if I was not a dragon witch. Like I said, we carry so much energy with us, so much energy, and sometimes the forest need to accept this first if you want to carry all of this energy inside of something so elemental like a forest or other places of nature. Humans are actually all mistaken and wrong. They see miracles and greatness in buildings. That is also what they said to me. Why don't you build a building for your dragon? This is my place of worship. This is my place where I should worship dragons and talk to dragons. This is what humans have forgotten, their connection with nature. And because of my dragons, that I reconnected this with nature. I came to live here to explore much more of ourselves and our connection with nature. And our dragons actually show us a lot of much more with our connection with nature. But yeah, what happened today actually with my sister touching that tree, immediately had this headache, immediately, like, she shouldn't have done that. The paranormal activities that happen with the dragon witch are countless, my brothers and sisters. But yeah, it's something that I need to write in my book of Dragon Shadows once more. That things that are good for you might not be good for another witch. It might be. But I respect this forest. This forest has a heart. This forest, I think that I saw the eyes of the forest that moment, that night. My brothers and sisters, be blessed.